like to invite our first speaker, Dr. Ibrahim Al Nadhairi, who's the Chief Executive Officer of ASYAD Shipping and also ASYAD Drydock.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Good morning, everyone. I just want to ask those who actually order ships and go to the shipyards. When you go to a shipyard, do you ask them for the old technology or the new technology? I guess you'll go for the latest technology. But then 2 years later, when you get your ship, that latest technology becomes an old technology. And there it starts again. Every time we go through the same cycle. Who's to be blamed? Nobody. Well, I'll just add to what Captain Abdul Karim asked, a few questions. 5 more questions from my side, and this is basically is going to be the content of my presentation. So basically, how are we compared to the other means of industries, or basically the transportation industry, when you compare shipping to that one? And should we just be worried about the decarbonization impact on trade volume? Or perhaps to focus on geopolitics that's going on every now and then, and that keeps changing things. Before COVID, LNG wasn't actually a green fuel. Now, by far, it is. Again, that is something that we need to think of. And in terms of cash flow, shipping has made a lot of money in the past 3 years, or maybe during the COVID, the pandemic period, yet they burnt a lot of money just in this year itself. So do we still have the right cash flow to go for new investment and new changes on board our ships? And will the policies tighten the ship supply? Is there capacity in the shipbuilding? That is also a question that we also, perhaps as ship owners, ship managers, engine makers, equipment makers, we should also ask ourselves if we can do that. Last but not least, what would be the best alternative fuel? There are so many different things. Or should we just go for retrofit? Should we go for slow steaming? Or we go for maybe new technologies? Strategies, I guess everyone knows this. We don't need to go into it again, but we need to ask ourselves the magic questions: why we are doing this, how do we do this, and what needs to be done, and then what is our real target? Is it net zero by 2050, or as Captain Abdul Karim just mentioned, net zero by 2045, or maybe 2070 for somebody? Yeah. Where do we stand today? This is basically a quick and simple chart. It shows where are we as shipping in terms of transportation. We are that red, or perhaps an orange one, if it is not colorblind thing. Transportation itself goes for 25% of the total emission, and this is as in 2019. Shipping takes only 10% of that. The commercial shipping, it's about 9%, and the rest is basically from the Navy and other ships. So it's 10 out of 25, so it's just 2.5%. That is basically how much we produce in terms of emission. Should we stop there? Maybe that is a question that needs to be asked. But what is going to happen if we don't put the right measures? It is argued that maybe by 2050, if we don't put measures from now, shipping will actually contribute about 17% of the total emission. So it's better to control the 2.5% than leaving it to the 17%, of course. But yet, of course, shipping is very important to the rest of the world. The graph there also, again, it shows how much we contribute as shipping to the international economy and what is the importance of shipping. So you could see it that 11.9 billion tons of seaborne trades is basically done in 2022. So you can imagine this is our contribution to the world. 12 billion tons of commodities are transported by ships and at sea. And yet, we need to take care of our future generation, of course. It's not just only what we are doing now, it's what we are going to do in the future. Can we afford this transition? I've selected 6 main graphs, and this is basically where we work, apart from the last one. We don't do, for us as ASYAD Shipping, we don't do the offshore and jackups. Yet you could see that maybe there's good, the way it looks that maybe we are going through some difficulties now, but I think sooner or later we are going to move away from the current cycle, and mainly for the container ships. I know they're going through very tough times, yet hopefully maybe 25 onwards things will improve. But for the rest of the other segments, they are either stable or moving in the right direction. So that, I guess, it answers the questions of affordability. Look at this nice slide. These are the amount of regulations and requirements, that we need to comply with. For the last, I think, 15, 20 years, and going forward all the way to 2050. I asked one of the guys from an IMO member, and I said, why do we have a lot of them there in this screen? And he said, because, well, we wish we can put more, but there's not enough space. This was his answer. So congratulations. I think we are safe now. We can live with this, because there's not enough space to be put, in that slide. Otherwise, there'll be maybe 10 more regulations coming up. But you can imagine, every single one of them costs us money. Yeah. And every one of them, of course, it's there for a good reason. But there's nothing for free. And I said this last year, one of the weakest things in shipping, that we don't talk to each other, that we are fragmented, and every one of us talk only about their own company. We don't really sit together. We don't have that strong voice, even within the IMO, which is supposed to be a technical committee, and unfortunately, it's not only a technical body. You can see it on the screen. It's far much beyond that. Another one, good slide. A lot of things that can be done to a ship. What can we afford and what can't we afford? What is important and what is not important? What is the right answer for all of this? Which one is the best system? We will always argue. Maybe it is something to do at the propeller side of the ship, or perhaps the forward side of the ship. But again, we need to invest, we need to pay money to do this. This is not going to come for free. No. So when you go to a shipyard and you ask them that you want almost everything on this slide, they will just laugh at you. They will say, first, we don't have the time for it. 2, it's not actually available. 3, it cannot be done. And 4, you can't have all of them in one. You can only have something. Because if you take this, then what is left for others to take? So it's always an ongoing argument between us, the shipyards, the other stakeholders. And talking about shipyards, by the way, 2009, we had 321 active shipyards. By March this year, that number is down to 133 active shipyards. I'll take you back to the slide. Okay, it's not showing. But anyway, so you've seen the slide before this. You have a lot of things that needs to be done, but the number of shipyards is down to 1/3 in the last 12 years. Is there a capacity to do all of this? Again, it's a question of $1 million. Perhaps nowadays we don't talk about $1 million. We talk about $1 billion. I think we should change that understanding. I conclude my presentation with that small comment, and just also to thank the management of the maritime industry, yourselves, Trevor, Clive, and everyone in here for giving us the opportunity to at least share our voices or our voice in this very extinguished platform. And I wish you all the best. And please do think and try to reflect on the questions that I asked you in the first slides. Thank you very much.